Hi, everybody. My name is Ken Kent. I'm the one that's waving at you. I'm the founder of Signworld 32 years ago. Welcome to our webinar today. On camera, we have four Signworld owners, as well as Sheree, our Director of Marketing. And I'm going to let each one of the owners introduce themselves. And then Jack Werner, our president, is going to give us a couple of definitions. And then we're going to open it up to questions. And when you ask a question, all four Signworld owners will answer your question one by one. So you'll get four answers to every question you ask. We'll start out by going in order. So Tim Bagneski, you'll be up first, Michael Shepard next, Kelly, and so on. So when it is your turn, please be ready with your question. Make it simple, make it straightforward. So again, whatever your greatest fear is, whatever your greatest concern, turn it into a simple, open-ended question. Okay, so let's start out. Michael Ryan, why don't you give us a wave and tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, Michael Ryan, Forerunner Signs and Graphics. We're located in Overland Park, Kansas, which is essentially between the two Kansas cities. Been in business just over 6 years now. I think 6 years and a week to be exact. We've got about 2,800 square feet in our current facility with 4 employees. I think we'll do just shy of $1 million this year. Hopefully we can break that, but I think we're gonna just a tad short. And I came out of the wireless industry where I spent a little over 23 years in sales and then sales management. And towards the end of my career, actually took a couple small wireless companies from concept and built them. So that's kind of where I come from.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Ron Cochran, Ron, tell us a little bit about you and your company.
Hello, everyone. Ron Cochran with Image Tech Signs and Graphics, located in northern New Jersey. So we're kind of a New York Metro City region. I've been in business for 4 years now. I have a 4,000 square foot facility that we rent. We do not own it. I have 3 other full-time employees and 1 part-time at this point, and we'll do about 650,000 in sales this year. And COVID hurt us a little bit since we were roughly the epicenter of the issue when it started. And I was in the custom office products and flexographic printing plate business before I started the Signworld.
Okay. And Larry Foster, tell us a little bit about you and your company.
The name of my company is Signs and More, and we're located in Troy, Michigan, which is about 35 miles north of Detroit. I've been in business, it'll be 20 years in the next 2 months. We are in my 3rd location. We started off in 1,700 square feet. I moved into a 4,000 square foot building. And about 11 years ago, I purchased my own building, which is an 8,000 square foot facility. We will this year do somewhere between 1.7 and 1.8 million. And my background was retail. I worked for Kmart for 27 years. And when I left Kmart, I was the Vice President of Operations for the company.
Thank you, Larry. And Jack Werner. Jack, tell us about yourself.
Just as an FYI for all of you, as you're on mute, when it's your turn to ask a question, click that unmute button. I know it takes a second or 2 to activate, so be ready for that. And then after you ask a question, go back on mute so we can try and keep the audio as clean as we can. The top right-hand corner of the screen, there's also a speaker view button. If you want to click on that, it'll, instead of getting a little postage stamp of everybody, you'll be able, it'll just keep moving from whoever's speaking, and you'll get a little clearer video of who that person is. I joined Signworld 25 years ago with an operation. I named my company 3D Signs after 3 of my boys, Dennis, Danny, and David. I started in 1,100 square feet at a time when we didn't have digital printing, we didn't have the internet, we were more of a banner shop, we were more retail. So Signworld's evolved a lot over the years. I ended up in 5,000 square feet with a staff of 10 doing 1.3 million in sales. I then sold that operation, went into sort of a partnership operation with Ken for about the next 8 years while I learned his end of the business. I finished buying him out and taking over Signworld as president and owner of Signworld back in 2014. Ken has stayed on as director of sales and doing some sales training and doing some other things, but we've lightened his load a little bit. When I speak, when I answer questions today, if it goes to my experience running a sign company, I'll speak from that perspective. If it goes more towards training and policy and that, I'll speak from that perspective. So depending on the question, I'll answer posturing based on that. Two quick thoughts for you before we get into questions. A lot of times people confuse us with printers. Printers do the commodity items, the brochures, letterheads, business cards, envelopes, things that you order and put in a box. Because of being able to order on the internet, it's a price sensitive business. It's the equipment heavy, and it's a stagnant industry. So don't confuse us with that. While we're doing pictures, words, graphics, and logos, we're doing the custom production. Unusual materials, unusual shapes, unusual sizes, everything from as small as a postage stamp to the entire side of the building. But it's application afterwards. It's putting it onto the building, putting it on the vehicle that you can't just order online. So the internet's bringing us leads, but it's not an order site. So the margins are still very healthy for us. The other comment I want to make is Signworld is not a franchise. We know that all of you are looking at other options. Everything else you're looking at probably is because Signworld's an anomaly. In Signworld, there's no rules, no royalties. We feel that the sign industry doesn't apply itself well to the franchise world because it's a fragmented industry. There's no dominant player. The name brand is not important. The rule book is not relevant because it's custom manufacturing, and we're going after a small core of repeatable customers. So with that, we know that if you don't join Signworld, it's going to be a franchise. We're not here to disparage the franchise, we're just here to say we're different for those reasons. Ken, go ahead.
Okay, well, let's get started with the questions. So Tim Bagneski, come off mute. Go ahead, Tim. Throw a hardball question at us.
That darn B always gets me in trouble, I tell you. That alphabet. Well, I guess I'm excited to hear from everybody, and I appreciate the process. Michael, sending my second daughter to K-State as we speak. She's out in Manhattan, and we lived in Overland Park. So I suspect you were a Sprint employee for a little bit of time, and you and I will have a little bit of common ground here that I might be able to lean on you, maybe even after this call. I work for CenturyLink. My concern is not 2-3 years down the line. My concern is 6 months down the line. I'm successful at building great client relationships, repeat buyers, the client experience, and I'm a sales guy for sure. But I've had a very consistent income over the last 20+ years, and I'm concerned about what will accelerate the success of this exciting new venture, and what products I should be focused on, what I should be thinking about to get my sign company off the ground humming at full speed out of the gates.
So Tim, is your question for all of our panel
Yes.
to look back on their startup and
Yes.
what would they do better, more of, differently?
That's a perfect summary of my question. Thank you, Ken. Yes.
Okay. All right, Michael Ryan, going back to day one, what would you do better or different to make more money faster?
Well, I would have listened to Dan and Jack about having my website up and running and having an SEO program in place prior to opening the door so that I had some organic internet traffic coming through. Just real quickly to comment on Tim's other part of his question, I only knew 3 people in this entire town when I opened up this business. It was my chiropractor, my now ex-wife, and her brother. I just immediately went and got involved in the local chamber of commerce, didn't just show up at events, but got involved. And, it's not rocket science. If you can build relationships, be responsive, and do what you say you're going to do, you're going to be successful.
Ron Cochran, if you could go back to day one, what would you do differently? What would you do better in order to make more money faster?
Yeah, the one thing I looked at 3 different avenues. So networking, leverage personal relationships and the internet. The networking, like Mike brought up, that's huge to do. That went well. Leveraging everybody you know, that was good. The internet I would have done different. I chose a path where I was very involved in that. I thought it was something I wanted to do. And once I got into it, I realized it's really not what I wanted to do. So I had to switch gears there. I would have taken a different, I would have basically paid to get more SEO traffic from the very beginning. But when it comes to, you talked about products and all, you pretty much, and I wouldn't do this different, you take everything on in the beginning because every area is a little different and you'll find a niche in your area. So what I sell an awning for is going to be different than what Mike and Larry sell an awning for. So some areas are going to be better across the country for certain products than others. So basically you take it all on in those first 6 months and then you can start to realize what you like to do and where your profit margins in certain products are better than others.
Okay, Larry Foster, your thoughts?
Well, it's a little bit different. When I started, there was no internet. So there was, we didn't have a website. But I did not promote my business early enough. I was focused on getting the building ready, getting people employed and getting them trained. And I had been told by you, Ken, that as soon as I knew I was going into business, start anybody you meet, any relatives, former people that you work with, let them know that you're starting a new venture. You'd love to help them if they needed anything in the way of signage. And I didn't do that. I waited till I was open. And so I started off slow. So I would start from day one and now put your energies not only into networking, but also your website.
And Jack, your thoughts?
I think they've all said it well. It's get the internet up going quickly. It's networking through the community. It's reaching out to your contacts. It's doing all those activities. But at the same point, you got to build some process and procedures. So you're not out there to blow it up immediately. You've got to grow it in a little bit and allow it to nurture itself.
So Tim, the goal is under current situation is under today's training, we're going to launch your website 6 weeks before you open, so that by the time you open, you're getting traction already. Michael Shepard, Michael, come off of mute. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Shepard, and I've been an IT executive for the past 20 years. And have been in the job market now for the last 9 months and just not getting very far with it in today's business conditions. So that had me starting to explore other options and looking at businesses, potentially just get out of the corporate world altogether. The question I have is 2 parts. How does Signworld make money from new owners? And how hands-on is the business to somebody starting it up?
Okay, well, Jack Werner, our president and owner, will let you answer the first question, Jack. How does Signworld make money?
Yeah. They're in the initial investment. There's a little room for profit. If you feel it's fair, we're only going to charge it once. We then run leaner than a franchise. We don't have all the overhead and expenses of a franchise. We don't have the accounting staff tabulating, taking royalties, the attorneys to chase the royalties. Our contract is 6 pages written in English, so our filing fees in states is minuscule compared to a 200-300 page FTD written by attorneys. We don't have the field dress police and rule book. The owners have bought into peer support. And then we hope to sell embellishment equipment as they expand the business. So we've managed to build a model where we no royalties and much leaner. Speaking to the other question was.
Why don't you restate that, Mike? Your other question, Michael?
It was how hands-on is
okay.
the new business owner from the start?
It's an active owner model. It's not like the Subway sandwich franchise where you train a manager and they make the same thing every day. It's custom manufacturing. So it is looking at an active owner model rather than a passive owner. Michael, Ron, comments you guys want to make to that?
I think it's just about building a good team around you, right? I'm extremely hands-on, have been since day one, but in the same breath, I've never worked a weekend, and I've never worked over 40 hours in a week. You know, run your business, don't let it run you.
Ron, go ahead. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you'll leverage the network, Mike. That's where the network is huge, the owner network. So, I mean, you leverage it throughout as long as you are with Signworld, but in that first year, it's massively invaluable. So you'll use that network more than you probably ever thought you would.
Larry Foster, your thoughts?
Well, I think, you know, when you start out, you're going to be hands-on because it's your new business, it's your baby. And you're not going to have so many jobs that you're going to lose track of those jobs. You're going to know every job and where you're at in the process. So I think it's pretty natural to become hands-on, but at the same time, you're building your organization, allowing them to fulfill the roles, and you take on kind of the spokesperson of the company, the sales of the company. And but when you start, I think it's pretty hands-on.
And so, Larry, now that you play golf 2 days a week during the week, how hands-on are you today?
I'm not. I'm here daily. I do play golf 3 days a week, but I have a general manager who runs the place. She decides what's going to get done, who's going to do it, when's it going to get done, how's it going to get done. And I trust her to do that.
Okay. Kelly Hanaway. Kelly, come off of mute. Go ahead.
Hello, hi guys. Thanks so much for taking the time to walk us through this, and the insight that you give is invaluable. My question is kind of along the lines of, I've been looking at sign businesses now for a couple of years, and a couple of the franchises that are, you know, competitive, and I've studied some FDDs, and one of the distinctions that the FDDs make, especially around years 2 and 3, are the top line revenue for businesses with and without an outside salesperson. And I've listened to 4 or so of the videos on YouTube, these panel discussions, and I know that just from listening that there's a lot of very much relationship building, consultative types of sales opportunities, and that's how you build that. And my question to the panel is, and then letting go of that, or how do you use an outside sales? Have you used one? And if not, why not? And is that a way to grow? I don't know if that's part of the model in year 3 or so, but I'm just wondering, because I don't have a sales background, and I'm wondering if that's not something that would help, or if that's prescribed or used by Signworld guys.
Michael Ryan, have you ever had an outside salesman beside yourself?
Yeah, I tried 2 different ones. I don't think anybody can sell your business the way that you can sell your business. My operations manager now handles some of the recurring sales, and I typically handle all the new. And it isn't a sales job. It really is consultative. I mean, they're coming to you with a need.
Okay. Ron Cochran, have you ever had an outside salesman beside yourself?
Yeah, but it was my retired father who was bored and wanted to get into and help out however he could. So he did it for a while, and we had one other person, but it only lasted a couple months. Honestly, it is a tough role to fill. It was great when my father was doing it. So somebody that is into it and knows what he's doing is definitely helpful, but it is a tough role to fill, I think.
And Larry Foster, I know the answer. So have you ever had outside salesmen, but in lieu of that, how about your inside salesman? Go ahead, Larry.
I have never had any outside sales besides myself, but I do have in my organization, I have about 4 or 5 people who they do the inside sales, and they'll also go out and see customers. They'll go with me, or they may go by themselves, and they also do sales.
Okay. And Jack?
We have managed through Signworld, realizing that 90% of owners have never done sales before. Kelly, when we're looking at people, while some people come from the sales side, 90% did not. So our whole model is into a consultative process. I've got 4 operations and new owner training this week, and we're talking about marketing, but not needing a salesperson to do it. Initially, it's you, but long-term, you're going to hire more like the guy or the gal that sits in Home Depot in the kitchen department. Says, if you need a project, I can come out and take the measurements. It's more like Larry's talking about, where it's that consultative process. Because of the way we do it compared to the franchises. We don't need to go out there hunting, knocking on doors. That's what they need to do because they don't have the process we do. We're through internet marketing much stronger than they are. Through teaching our sales marketing training, we're quite successful with not needing to have paid hired guns out there doing it.
Okay. To my Signworld panel, please, a little shorter answers. I fear that we're going to run out of time and everybody won't have a chance. So shorter answers, please. Michael, come off of mute. Tell us your last name, Michael.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, sorry about that. My last name is
you're on mute now. Come off of mute. You're still on mute, Michael.
on it. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know how it went back on mute, but okay. Yeah, my last name is Restivo, and I've been a CFO pretty much in the imported cheese industry for the better part of the last 20 years. And we're actually looking at options, for my wife to go back to work. She's been a homemaker for the last 10, 15 years with my children, and they're at the age now where she's ready to go back to work. And I'm also looking to potentially move out of the corporate world and get into my own business. So that's pretty much how we started looking at the businesses and looking at opportunities. I think my primary question would be, a lot of my questions have been answered already, but how long is it generally till the business is not counting the original investment, obviously, but cash flow positive, where you're operating and you're not looking for other sources of funding till the business is sustaining itself? And that may be different for everybody, but I'm just curious of what everyone found that window is for them.
Okay. Michael Ryan, how many months were you in business before you broke even cash on cash?
3 months.
How many months were you in business before you took your first paycheck?
7 months.
Ron Cochran, how many months were you in business before you broke even cash on cash?
4 months.
And first paycheck?
At 9 months.
Larry Foster, break even?
4 months,
First paycheck?
5 months.
Jack Warner, break even?
Honestly, first month and first paycheck at 6 months.
Okay. Sergio Romero, Sergio, come off of mute. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. My question is, as you guys start growing your business, and how do you identify, what niche you're going to go after or fall in, i.e. trade show, neon, corporate signage, banner, vinyl, etc.
Michael Ryan, are you a generalist or do you have a niche? And if so, how did you identify your niches?
Yeah, we're still really a generalist. We're probably heavy on monument signs and exterior LED illuminated signage.
Ron Cochran, are you a generalist or have you identified certain niches?
We're a generalist. We definitely do vehicle wraps. We did kind of find that out early, but like I said earlier, we took everything on for 6 months. And then you find out in your area what works best, and then you can hone in a little more from there.
So what % of your business is vehicle wraps?
It's about 27%, I think was the last number.
And Jack Warner, on average, all Signworld owners, what % of their business is vehicle wraps?
It's in first year, it's by default, probably 25%. And then from there, they're going to go one of three directions. Either they're going to continue to grow that niche, they're going to have the same volume of it, go after other things, or they're going to say, I don't even want that niche. You missed Larry on his answer.
Yeah, I got it. Larry, almost 20 years in business. Are you still a generalist or have you niches?
Very much a generalist. We have categories that are strong: office interiors, a lot of interior type signage.
Okay. Jim Stapleton. Jim, come off of mute. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, everybody. Hope you can hear me. Jim Stapleton here. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. Last 20 some years, I have been in supply chain at HP. Took a buyout, and I'm looking for something to do in the next chapter. Question is regarding the initial equipment purchase package from Signworld. And specifically, how much of the business do the current owners fulfill with the in-house equipment versus outsourcing? And I'm hoping he can answer that both from a perspective of jobs and revenue, and then time permitting, how has that evolved from year one through current?
So Michael Ryan, back to day one, startup package of equipment. What percent of your business in year one did you manufacture with your equipment? What percent were you not able to manufacture and you had to sub out?
Yeah, first year or two, we probably did 75 to 80% in-house. We're probably still about 70 in-house. But again, we do a lot of large exterior monument and illuminated stuff that we don't manufacture in-house.
And have you added any major pieces of equipment, Michael?
I'm still running on the same initial package, and everything's fully functional.
Ron Cochran, first year in business, what percent of your business did you manufacture in-house? What percent did you sub out?
Oh, I'd love to give you a real answer, Ken. I don't remember year one. I can tell you now, we're 65% in-house now and 35% outsource.
And have you added any major pieces of equipment?
Just a big wall, a substrate cutter. But we may be ordering our second printer next week.
Okay. And what did a substrate cutter cost?
That was around just under around 5,000, 6,000,
okay,
something in that range.
Larry Foster, year one, if you can remember that far back, what percent did you manufacture in-house? What percent did you sub out?
We did about 75% in-house and subbed out about 25%.
And today?
Today, we probably do about 90% in-house, 10% subbed out.
And I won't ask you number of pieces of equipment, but in dollars, Larry, over 20 years, how much have you invested in equipment, roughly?
Probably $250,000.
So about 10 grand a year, 12 grand a year.
Yeah.
Okay, on average. Not bad, not bad. Darren Firman, I'm sorry, Darren Firman, come off of mute, Darren.
Okay, I come from a totally different background. I come from a multi-unit junior partner in a quick service restaurant industry. So I'm used to dealing with lots of people in an industry where people are coming to you because they want what you have. I guess this is kind of similar, assuming that the products are of high quality. Being part of your organization, how do I get the leg up over my competitors? I'm new to the sign world. There's existing people out there that already have all the contacts and everything else. My city is 900,000 people. How do I gain market share from the competition?
Michael Ryan, how's you get a leg up day one?
I respond. I mean, really, that's about the extent of it. If you're responsive, you manage projects well, and you build relationships, you can't fail.
Okay. Ron Cochran?
Mike's dead on. Respond and communicate. Industry is notorious for a bad response and communication.
Larry Foster?
It's a pretty consistent answer. You promise something, you come through the promise, and you've got a customer that you're going to keep.
Jack?
Before I answer, I'm going to introduce a couple of slideshows that we're going to play in the background. We'll continue with Q&A during it. There's no audio to these slideshows. The slideshows, number one, is going to show you some of the facilities inside and out, so you can see how unique and different each one is. We're not cookie cutter like a franchise. The second one is going to show you what is a sign, not only what makes up that 75% of the volume in-house production and the subcontractor projects. Third one is going to show you the wall of fame. As you start off, you're doing simpler things, and you're going to go into more complex projects, which showing you the evolve of some of the wall of fame projects that Signworld Owners have done. The reason why there's ability to do that, Darren, is the ineptness of our competition, as Ron mentioned. Most sign companies are not owned by project managers. They're owned by former sign makers who are single task doers doing one job at a time, but then saving nickels to become their own boss. Because of that, they're overwhelmed with having multiple projects, and it's their lack of responsiveness. They don't show up at the appointment. They don't deliver the project on schedule. It's chaos. And so bringing in people that have project management, customer service allows us to succeed, even though you have no sign experience.
Okay, thank you. Elazar Zuniga, come off of mute, Elazar.
Yes. Hello, everyone. What is your percentage of sales that you put in your pocket starting first year, second year, and third year?
Okay, net cash flow after all expenses of the business, net cash flow to the owner, year 1, year 2, year 3, Michael Ryan.
Yeah, year one, it was a little lower. I was right around 20%, just buying equipment and so forth, or, tools and so forth, but pretty consistent between 23 and 26% thereafter.
Okay, and Ron Cochran?
I think we were at 18% that first year, and we're right near 23 right now.
And Larry Foster?
It was lower. I think my first year was like 16.5%, and then it's built up about 2% every year. And now I'll run 25 to 26%.
And Jack?
I was pretty consistent at a 25% range, and most Signworlds will tell you they're between 20 and 30. In the beginning, in that first year where your sales are lower, you still have fixed expenses. So it's a contribution to fixed expenses. And then from there, we have mature Signworld owners plus 30%.
Okay, the Carney family. Come off of mute. Carney, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, my name is Meredith. I'm here with my husband, Kevin,
Hello.
And we're figuring out if this is the right business for us. I'm wondering if all the owners can share about their learning curve from the beginning. When do they finally feel comfortable with the business? Not obviously like the project management side and all that, but the actual Signworld business and lingo and what you need to do so you can talk to customers with a real knowledge.
Michael Ryan, when did you feel comfortable?
Honestly, I'd say it probably took me a good 6 months to get comfortable with the lingo, but the support of the Signworld family is so amazing that it wasn't difficult to get there.
Ron Cochran?
Yeah, I'd say it's somewhere between that 6 and 12-month mark where you're going to be comfortable with most every call that you get. There's always going to be something, even to this day, that might be a little new, but you're going to have most of the lingo within that first year.
Larry Foster?
It came pretty quickly. I can remember one of my first customer visits. I went out and it had to do with a ground sign that lights up, and I was so worried about it. And I found out very quickly that I knew more than my customer knew, and I became pretty comfortable pretty quick after that.
Jack Werner?
In your first appointment, you've gone through weeks and weeks of training. You've worked in other locations. You know more than the customer does. And you're really fact finding. How many do you need? How big do you want it to be? Where do you want it to go? Let me go back to my office and put together a proposal. And you run out the door, calling Signworld owners, asking how to do it, what needs to be done, and you work from there. The beauty of the business is long-term, you're still learning. Long-term, you're still learning that each project is unique and different. That makes it the fun of the business. If every day was the same and repetitious, I think all of us would be bored out by now.
Ron Brokemeyer, did I pronounce it right, Ron? Hello, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Brockmeyer. So you were very close. Very good. It's not an easy name. I'm up here in Minneapolis, and my background is in sales and marketing. And as I've been looking at the Signworld opportunity, I've really come to understand that project management is really key to being different than, the average Joe sign maker. And I was just curious as to what your panel has for advice about your skills at project management and how important that would be.
Michael Ryan, project management skills.
Yeah, communication obviously is key. Project management is important. I'm a good project manager, but I hire my weaknesses and things I don't have time for, so the rest of my team manages the projects once I get them closed.
Ron Cochran, project management.
Yeah, you'll build a system. That's where I think Jack was talking about kind of working on your business systems early on. Like we use a software called Trello that helps us with project management. So you'll kind of find your way in that first year. how to manage projects best so everything doesn't have to flow through you.
Larry Foster?
Well, for long-term viability, you've got to be strong in project management. It's easy to manage 2, 3, 4 projects at a time, but when you're doing 200 to 250 jobs at a time, that's where project management is critical. So you use the system and to track everything, but you also get it down to the basic level. Every day we have a whiteboard for the guys in the back that are going to be doing the work. They need it very simple, very straightforward. So it's a combination of the project management and making it simple for your staff.
And Jack?
You know, I think the good news at Signworld is that we're going to help you customize it to your style of doing it. Each of these Signworld owners has a little different way to do it. They're not being forced to do it our way. We're allowing them to customize it to theirs. And I think that makes it stronger and more palatable for them.
Okay. Steve Elliott. Steve, come off of mute. Hello, Steve. Go ahead,
Hey there.
Steve.
Hey, thank you for pulling together today. I'm curious with the recent COVID impacts, how has that impacted your business? What did you see through late spring and early summer? Has it rebounded, knowing that a lot of companies, corporations are not sending their workers back into the corporate buildings? Wondering if you've seen a reduction in orders, same with restaurants, reduced traffic flow, things like that.
Okay, let's go the other way. Larry Foster. Larry, are you having some of your best months ever?
I am. Right now, I mean, it's phenomenal. And, you know, when COVID first hit, it hurt us. We were down in March and April. I kept just a minimal staff, but we did signage for restaurants and some plants so that they could either do their carryouts or doing whatever they were doing. But since then, it has just exploded, and we're going to have our best year ever.
Okay, Michael Ryan.
Yeah, we're so covered up, we can't keep up right now. It did hurt us early on, but the last several months, again, it's just been crazy busy, which is one.
Okay, Ron Cochran.
Yeah, unfortunately here in the New York metro area, we were kind of the epicenter of COVID when it started. So we were hammered. March and April were awful. But this past month, we were back to like our normal number, what we had expected this year on a monthly basis. And almost everything's back, just a couple construction projects. The only thing that we're kind of missing at this point.
Jack?
I'd say overall for Signworld Owners, that story is very consistent. There's a lot of businesses still going on through this. We're making lots of COVID signs. We're making lots of sneeze guards. Those sneeze guards are going to need graphics on them. Right now, we're just trying to get them up as clear plastic so they have them. But signs recycle through and you can't live without it. Vehicles that are wrapped around the lease need to be recycled. But I want you to also think about in businesses you can go into in this environment, how safe you can feel. You know, these guys are in a couple thousand square feet with a handful of employees. So they have safe distancing there. Your employees are, if they're putting graphics on a vehicle in the back room, they're away from others. If they're installing a sign outside, they're safe. If they're at the corporate office, the customer says, put the graphics over there and we'll wait over here. So you can feel safe in business. I think that's important to consider. Not only is it a healthy business during this, but can we be healthy during it?
Okay, Brian Cox. Brian, come off of mute.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time here today. I have 3 questions, actually. The first one is what
just one, just one, and then we'll come back around. But go ahead.
Okay.
No,
what are the
I'm
biggest?
just kidding.
It's not too complicated. What are the biggest challenges operationally day to day in the business? Because in sales and marketing, I think I've got that part licked, and the relationship building is great. But that's where I would struggle, and I would like to find out more about operationally.
All right. Is your question, what are your biggest operation challenges today, or what were they day one?
No, today.
Today. All right. Larry Foster, almost 20 years. What are your biggest operational challenges today?
I think, again, juggling lots and lots of projects, small ones and large ones all at the same time. So, you're always going to have that. And we talked about that on project management, but also, you're dealing with a lot of deadlines. Your customer has a deadline. They have a grand opening. They have somebody visiting from Germany. The things that you had in corporate life are still out there, and you have to sometimes live with their deadlines, and they can be in a hurry.
Okay. Michael Ryan, what are your biggest operational challenges today?
Yeah, I totally agree with Larry. It's just, where can we slide in this rush project in the middle of this big project or that little project? Outside of that, we really don't experience much.
Ron Cochran.
Yeah, actually, so this past year, beginning of the year, we implemented an EOS, an entrepreneurial operating system, with 6 other Signworld companies. We're all doing it together, and we're actually to really improve our internal operations. So we had an issue with error rate on orders, and it was just something that I was struggling to fix. Talked to a bunch of other Signworld guys, and I'm solving it through this EOS system.
Okay. Jack Warner.
You're juggling multiple products that each have different timelines and different critical pass-throughs. So it's a juggle of that, but it's building the process and procedures to manage it, leaning on other Signworld owners to learn how they've managed to do it so that you can follow the styles that fit to you.
Okay. Greg Rosen. Greg, come off of mute. Go ahead, Greg.
So thank you again to all. I guess my biggest question is regarding competition, and if different markets are saturated. Just coming into this and doing a Google search on any particular sign, I can come up with 20 different companies that would service this area. I guess my question is, how would you break down original sales and marketing efforts from on a percentage basis from networking versus internet searches, and how much would you estimate be required on a monthly basis to get that top of mind first page Google search for and someone just entering the business?
I'll answer that question from a dollar standpoint. What we recommend is $2,500 a month, and we will introduce you to 3 different companies who will build your website and take care of your website and your search engine optimization on an ongoing basis. Larry Foster, how much do you spend a month on website internet?
About $1,500.
And what percent of your new business, not your repeat business, what percent of your new business comes from the website?
About 75%.
Michael Ryan, how much do you spend per month on your website internet?
We're spending $1,000 a month, and we get about 70% of our new business off of it.
Ron Cochran, how much do you spend?
$2,500 a month, and 90% of our new business comes from there.
Jack Warner?
That's what we recommend, and a lot of plan to do it. But back to the market is saturated, Greg. It's crowded. It's not saturated. The reason why there's a lot of gas stations is we all use gas. The reason why there's a lot of sign companies is each sign company can only manage so many projects, and so it's bandwidth. There's room in your market, and we're going to make sure that you have a market that's equal to anybody else's for ability to get your share of the business.
Okay, Luke, come off of mute. Hello, Luke, are you there? Matt Anderson, Matt, come off of mute. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you. Appreciate the panel. My question today is, what's a typical day, week, and a month like? I mean, at a very high level. I know time's short.
Okay, Larry Foster, what's your average day like?
Well, it's changed some, but it's basically the same as when I started. We start at 8 o'clock in the morning. We have a general meeting with our organization every single day. Then after the meeting, I am making any outgoing phone calls that I need to make. I usually go out and see customers between 10 and 2. That may be new customers or existing customers. I come back, I write up any jobs that I saw that day. And then I do my accounting stuff at the end of the day. I check on how we did as far as our production schedule. And that's it for the day.
Michael Ryan, what's your typical day?
Yeah, very much the same. I'm coming in, meeting with my team, seeing what we got going for the day, and then returning a couple phone calls, emails, and then I'm out typically on site surveys. And I also try and do a coffee or a lunch once a week. Still, even with COVID, pretty successful with that.
Ron Cochran?
Yeah, I'm a 7:30 to 5 or 6 each day. We have a morning meeting every day daily. We have one special one on Tuesday mornings where we work on the business and not just a kind of a standard daily thing, where everybody has bigger goals. And I try and basically batch my site surveys as much as possible to kind of get them all in a day or two, as opposed to doing them every day.
And Jack Warner, when you were running your business, what was your typical day?
I think that's been pretty well answered. I think one of the differences in the beginning, you're spending a part of the day out building relationships, and long-term, you're nurturing those relationships. You're going to end up with 30 customers that are 80% of your business, and they're going to have repeat orders and needs. And so you're nurturing and fostering those ongoing relationships. It's not looking for somebody brand new every day for the rest of your life.
Okay. Mike O'Neill. Mike, are you there? Mike O'Neill, come off of mute, Mike. George George Schaff, are you there, George? Go ahead, George.
I am. Good morning or good afternoon. Hopefully you can hear me. My question is, what things have you done to try and focus on bigger and bigger jobs? I know folks talk about average order size over time. What are some of the things that you do to, if you have control, to sort of get into that type of a mode?
So Larry Foster, how do you get to the bigger and bigger jobs over time?
Honestly, you start with the small ones. You get a job and it seems like it's just a very small job, and you do a good job, and then pretty soon they're giving you more and more. Then they're giving you somebody from another department, or they're giving you a referral. So they often start out small, and they build very quickly when they find out your capabilities and your dependability.
So Larry, is it true last year you made signs that said Ford Motor Company, General Motors, and Chrysler?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Michael Ryan, how do you get the bigger jobs?
I agree with Larry. It's kind of starting with the smaller ones, but I would add that I find that it's industry specific. So I've built a lot of relationships with property managers, which seem to provide a lot of the larger jobs.
Ron Cochran, how do you get the bigger jobs?
Well, I'll give you my 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Our best customer was leveraging a personal relationship. The guy worked at a property management company. He got me in with 2 other GCs after that. And then once you're in that realm, you can start reaching out to other people because you kind of understand how the industry works. So like we have this Braille sign specialty that we do. And honestly, it started with just a friend of mine, and then kind of blossomed from there once you got your foot in the door.
Jack Warner, your thoughts?
My largest customer, regional developer for Subway. It started with an hours decal for one location and just finding out where the regional director was. And going from there. The advantage we have is that our business touches every business. So we really try and teach you the premise that no customer should be a dead end. Everybody knows somebody bigger.
Okay. Brian Cox, did you have another question, Brian? Anybody else? If you have another question, you might want to type it in down at the bottom under the Q&A.
I have a question about
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, about digital signage. We talked about all the printers and everything, but how much is the digital sign affecting the industry?
Larry Foster, what % of your business today is digital signage, meaning television monitor type stuff and or scrolling message boards?
Very small. You know, I'm not sure, under 5% of my business.
Okay, Michael Ryan.
Yeah, we may be lucky to do one or two a year. They've a lot of the municipalities have thrown it out now.
Ron Cochran.
We've only done one. It's not a big part of our business at all.
Jack.
We have some that have done a lot. We've got a Signworld owner in Atlanta that's done, I think, 1.5 million over the last 2 years in that. So it can be a big part of your business or something you never touch. It's only going to be a segment of the business forever. It's just one. Only certain signs can be that type of format. So there's a lot of signs that'll never be that.
Okay, we got a question in the chat box from Tim. Tim wants to know, what is the process to build a proposal on a complex job? Pricing, etc. First of all, Tim, as part of the Signworld package, we give you a very elaborate point of sale software system and lots of training on pricing and estimating and time clock on your projects, management reports, and so on. And that's called Corebridge. Michael Ryan, why don't you start out? What's your process to build a proposal on a complex job?
Well, site survey, design, costs from other vendors if you're subbing something out, and then use the point of sale system that you've chosen. It manages it and does it for you really well.
Ron Cochran?
Yeah, no, Mike said it well. Anything you can do in-house, you've probably formatted in Corebridge somehow or have some type of list to it, and then you're just combining that with whatever the outsourced part of that project is to bring it all together, and the quote is all put together in Corebridge, most likely for your customer.
Okay, Larry Foster?
A lot of the large jobs would do time and materials, you know, and I know what the perception of a price should be. I think you have to gauge who your customer is, but the biggest ones are time and material.
Jack Werner?
And then it's counseling with other Signworld owners to get their thoughts on input of it. You're not out there on your own trying to figure out how to do this. There's a team of 355 other Signworld owners who are all willing to help you counsel on any project you have.
Okay, we still have about 6 minutes to go. So if anybody has more questions, please type them into the Q&A. The Q&A at the bottom of your screen. The Q&A at the bottom right of center of your screen. Kelly Hanaway has a question. What % revenue comes from the clients within your own territory? So Larry Foster, if you even remember your territory, what % of your revenue comes from within your territory? What % comes from outside?
I would say 75–80% of my business comes from my territory, but I ship stuff all over the country, but my contact is here local.
Michael Ryan?
Golly, I think we probably do maybe 30% in my zip codes.
Okay. Ron Cochran?
We do a lot of local work. We're probably 90% within an hour and a half of us. I guess that's not our zip codes, but it's a good point. Zip code's totally different from that, but yeah, we're 90% within an hour and a half of our place.
Michael Ryan, would you say the same? 90% of your business within an hour?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
No, absolutely.
All right, Jack Werner?
90% of it was the contact were within my territory, but I had customers in all 50 states where the projects ended up. Ken, I've got a question for the Signworld owners. As we talk about competition, if one of these prospects was to move right next to your territory, would it concern you? Would it impact you? If there's supposed to be all this competition out there, is that an issue or not? Larry?
Not for me.
Why not?
In fact, at one point I allowed another Signworld into my territory. It was close to his home and it didn't bother me. I think we've had 7 new Signworlds open up in my market, and I've trained every one of them. I help them with all of their jobs. They're calling us every single day and we're helping them all the time. There's so much business out there. I just don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Your thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Larry, and honestly, I'll send fast signs, what I call soccer mom jobs, banners and yard signs, and they send me all their wrap business because they don't do wraps in-house. So you can play really nicely in the water with the competition.
Ron?
Yeah, got a new guy moved in this year, down south of me, George. And he's been in my shop probably 10 different times in the past 5 months. And we're actually doing stuff back and forth together, as opposed to actually kind of butting heads. So it's interesting how that works. I can see how you would think it might work the other way, but you're probably going to work with them more than against them.
Okay, Jack?
Yep.
All right, Kelly Hanaway wants to know what % of your jobs require a site survey or reconnaissance where you have to go out there and scope it out. Larry Foster?
That's a hard one for me. So much of our business is repeat business. I'm out doing surveys just about every day. I'm going to say at this point, maybe 15% of the jobs.
All right, Michael Ryan?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint. It might be 50-50 for us.
Okay, Ron Cochran?
Yeah, I don't have an exact, but it would be closer to Larry's. It's probably more like 15%.
Jack?
It's really dependent on the types of customer projects. Vehicles, you probably don't need to see it, but if it's a building, you probably do. So it depends on the projects that you're working on.
Okay. Sales growth. So year over year. Larry Foster, what was your second year % growth over your first year?
It was about 75% increase.
Next year?
Over that year, about a 24%, somewhere in that area.
Michael Ryan, if you can remember, second year increase over first?
Yeah, second year was 100%. And then after really trending probably about 25 to 30%.
Ron Cochran?
Yeah, we were at 75 the first year, and then it was about 34% after that.
Okay, and Jack?
I'm going to give you the numbers because as the volume grows, the percentages change. I did 430, 580, 780, and I'm just over $1 million my fourth.
Okay, Steve Elliott asked, did you work in the sign business before joining Signworld? And the answer is none of them. None of them have. But how did Signworld training prepare you? Larry Foster?
I was very comfortable when you were done with the training. You were very comfortable with the business.
Okay, Michael Ryan?
Extremely thorough. The training covers every aspect of the business.
Okay, Ron Cochran? Ron?
Tech. Sorry, I was having a tech problem. The ball was spinning. You're good when you're comfortable with the training when you first come out to get started, but you are going to leverage the owner network like crazy. So because there's a ton of stuff you don't know, and there's just always somebody to call. So that's actually, I don't know, an important part when somebody mentions training.
Jack Warner?
There's enough to make it dangerous to begin with, and there's a lifetime of training afterwards. I think Ken and I are still learning every day, and Larry, we've been at it 20 plus years.
Okay, we only have about a minute left, so I'll try to run through the last ones. Matt Anderson wants to know, once your website is built, how much time are you spending on updating and working in the marketing vendor to update? And the answer is, Matt, that if you choose one of our companies, Your time is almost none. Couple of minutes a month. But if you choose to go your own way, then that's going to vary as to how much time. But real quick, Michael Ryan, how much time do you personally spend on your website, internet, updating it, fixing it, whatever?
0.
Ron Cochran. Hello, Ron. We lost him. Larry Foster.
None.
Okay. Jim Stapleton asks, Signworld training, prepare a new business owner to handle bids on large projects. I think yes, we went over that. We gave you an elaborate pricing system and lots of systems and procedures and so on. And Greg Rosen, when working with another Signworld business, do you share the revenue? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yeah. So you'll work on projects with others. How many owners use a dedicated salesperson? I think we answered that. Very, very few. And then the other one, the first hire, the sign maker. We will help you find your first sign maker. We, Signworld, we will interview them. We will test them. We recommend you send them down the street to work for another Signworld owner for a day to evaluate them. And then once you hire them, they can go to all of our training programs. Again, they are experienced, so they should be able to hit the ground running. Jack, do you want to close it out?
I will. For Larry and Ron and Michael, we appreciate taking time out of your busy days. So truly appreciate you guys being here. You show what this Signworld system is like. For those that are attending, go back to Dan, to Ken, to myself, have more conversations. We'll have another webinar like this the day before Thanksgiving on Wednesday, November 25th, same time with a different panel of owners, a different Q&A. We have a Discovery Day once a month. It's a final step. Normally you'd come out to California, but right now we have to do it by Zoom. So it's an intense day. We have it once a month. But we're not ready to have you come to that until you're deep in the trenches and done a lot of homework. We have one next Friday. Perhaps you're ready for that. Talk to Ken, Dan, or myself and see if you are. If you're not, we've got to get you ready for the final one of the year, Friday, December 11th. So in the meantime, be safe, be healthy, do all your homework, figure out if Signworld's the right fit for you. And if it is, we're here to help you any way we can. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.